government said that they were going to be closing migrant hotels, but, well, there's a new one. The Britannia Hotel in London is going to be used to house illegal immigrants.
Britain is spiralling into chaos. With more than 36,000 migrants housed in luxury hotels and a staggering 29% spike in violent incidents, the nation's streets have become a battleground. From shattered glass to blazing fires, the country watches in disbelief as chaos unfolds, following Star's explosive revelations. What began as political controversy has ignited mass unrest, sparking protests, confrontations, and questions about the government's priorities. As tensions mount, the scale of the migrant crisis and the public's fury collide in a perfect storm that threatens to engulf the country entirely. Authorities claimed they only needed a few more months to resolve the migrant situation, a promise protesters had been hearing all year. Across the nation, hotels were besieged by crowds demanding mass deportations to Africa. By 6:36 p.m, police had mobilised 8 extra platoons, but it was too late. The Enough is Enough group launched a violent push, shattering glass against police lines and sending 5 vans into destruction. Orders crackled over radios: protect the migrants at all costs. By 7 p.m, police barricades buckled under relentless volleys of fireworks, and nationwide chants gave way to complete chaos. Stammer was quickly labelled the nation's traitor. After it emerged, the government wasted over £2 billion annually on migrant accommodations. Officials explained the overcrowding. Dormitories were full, forcing the use of 4-star hotels. Protesters at Parliament Square demanded Star's immediate resignation within 2 hours. Fires erupted at 7 hotels, triggering investigations, while 127 arrests and 19 vehicles torched were reported. Leaked footage from inside one luxury migrant hotel sent shockwaves across the country. By 7:21 p.m, entire police units were retreating under relentless fireworks. Critics accused officers of complicity, pointing out the government had stripped £1.4 billion in pensioner benefits to fund migrant programmes. Opposition leader Farage retaliated, citing a 320% surge in machete attacks since 2000 and nearly 1,000 migrants arriving by boat daily. He unveiled a 3-step hardline plan: deploy the Royal Navy along maritime borders, create militarised enforcement units like the US ICE, and deport 600,000 migrants back to Africa and the Middle East. Thousands outside Parliament erupted in cheers. Stammer rejected the deportation plan, calling it impossible and cruel, opting instead to expand police budgets. Within 23 minutes, barricades sprang up at migrant centres. Critics accused Stammer of prioritising tiered care over national security. Police launched mass crackdowns on far-right groups, targeting hotels and making over 9,700 arrests for online posts deemed incitement. By 8:05 p.m, streets had transformed into war zones. Radios reported frantic retreats from sectors 8, 10 and 13. Officers admitted they were unprepared for the scale of the fireworks assaults. Meanwhile, 320 more migrants were spotted landing on the Channel coast. Every tactic, shield walls, dog units, water cannons, was deployed, yet nothing could stem the relentless surge. A TikTok video went viral almost instantly, racking up 7.2 million views in just 3 hours. In the clip, a masked faction tore through an abandoned police station with shocking brutality. In response, Stammer made a rare, desperate public statement. "The nation has been heard," he declared, announcing a new plan to relocate migrants from luxury hotels to military bases. But within hours, the blueprint leaked online, sending shockwaves through the public. The document revealed that over 10,000 undocumented migrants would soon occupy former British Army bases. Far from resolving the crisis, this decision multiplied tensions threefold. Opposition leaders accused Stammer of surrendering the UK without firing a single shot. Meanwhile, British veterans were left to weather freezing winters, abandoned and ignored, their decades of contributions disregarded. Lifelong taxpayers watched in disbelief as rejection letters piled up, while unvetted male migrants, mostly aged 18 to 35, were granted access to 4-star accommodations, living rent-free unless a taxpayer complained. Even then, officials offered excuses, leaving the public to witness what many called financial apartheid. Public outrage reached a breaking point. Citizens realised their own savings were being siphoned off to subsidise newcomers, and patience evaporated faster than the national budget. This wasn't merely a policy shift, it was a declaration of values and priorities. Inside sources from the Home Office revealed the administration's grim calculus: cut the winter fuel allowance to balance the books, but safeguard the £2.1 billion hotel budget at all costs. Human rights lawyers' potential lawsuits were prioritised over citizens' welfare. Funds weren't the problem. Loyalty was. Loyalty to those who had built and maintained the system. Loyalty to protect the vulnerable elderly. Loyalty to uphold the social contract without fearing a Twitter backlash. Instead, the government's gaze turned outward, appeasing lobby groups and international observers, while domestic survival was sacrificed. The UK, critics say, is no longer being served. It is being exploited, systematically and ruthlessly, every single day. Starmer came into office promising to combat grooming gangs, yet the pledge has morphed into something far darker. Public money is being drained from the working class to accommodate the government's clients. Every hotel contract is signed with one concern: international optics, not the grandmother in Manchester shivering to save a pension. Boats keep landing, luxury arrangements quietly expand, pensioners fear debt, and each concession weakens the economy further. The administration labels these choices as difficult decisions, but the public calls them state-sanctioned theft. Local constabularies are caught in a war on two fronts and losing ground fast, as shadow crime waves swell in towns hosting requisitioned hotels. Official statistics obscure the true scale, but the truth is impossible to ignore. The nation teeters on the brink, and the unrest is only growing. We're not talking about minor thefts committed for survival. What's emerging are fully organised predation zones, where British law seems to have little to no authority. Retailers within a 1-mile radius of these luxury migrant hotels report a shocking evolution in criminal activity. It is no longer lone individuals stealing food. Instead, coordinated groups of young men systematically clear shelves of high-value electronics, alcohol, and designer goods. They operate with impunity, fully aware that security guards cannot legally intervene, and police often refuse to respond unless violence is in progress, leaving shopkeepers to fend for themselves against gangs who exploit every loophole in the system. Leaked internal logs from 3 separate police forces reveal an alarming policy shift. Low-level crimes committed by asylum seekers are often deprioritised to prevent administrative backlogs. Meanwhile, British teenagers caught with small amounts of cannabis receive criminal records, while foreign nationals caught stealing in hotel lobbies are frequently met with nothing more than a behavioural warning from hotel management. This is a textbook example of two-tier justice, but the threat extends far beyond stolen property. Across several English cities, public parks are increasingly no-go zones after dark. Dog walkers are intimidated and driven away by groups of men who treat communal spaces as their personal territory. Women are rerouting jogging paths, and parents forbid their daughters from passing near hotel entrances. The government calls it cultural friction, but residents know it for what it truly is: a loss of basic freedom. Intelligence sources warn of a far graver concern developing behind the hotel doors: organised criminal networks. Drug gangs are using taxpayer-funded accommodations as recruitment centres, transforming government rooms into operational hubs for county lines distribution. Critics argue that Starr's administration is effectively funding the criminal underworld, allowing it to extend its influence into towns and rural areas across Britain. We are witnessing a dangerous convergence of illegal migration and organised crime, yet officials remain silent. Sexual harassment reports in these zones are soaring, but arrest rates stay flat. Victims are often told that pressing charges is nearly impossible without fixed addresses, while suspects exploit the system's loopholes, a deliberate trap to silence the public. The hotels themselves are guarded not by police but by private security firms whose instructions are clear: protect the residents from the community's anger, not enforce law and order. In effect, these mercenaries act as a modern-day Praetorian Guard, shielding those who destabilise neighbourhoods, while ordinary citizens are left exposed to escalating threats. Meanwhile, car theft in neighbourhoods surrounding the luxury migrant hotels has evolved into highly organised stripping operations. Vehicles are stolen and driven to secluded areas near the hotels, where they are dismantled in minutes. Police admit they lack the manpower to patrol these emerging crime hotspots, as their vans are stationed outside the hotels, tasked solely with protecting windows and entrances. Starmer came to power promising to tackle both crime and its underlying causes. Yet instead, he has imported criminal behaviour and subsidised its origins. Behaviours that would land a British citizen in prison are now excused as adjustment difficulties for new arrivals. This erosion of standards is spreading from hotel perimeters to the high streets, reshaping societal norms in real time. If an activist assaults a police officer during a deportation protest, the narrative labels him far right. But if a citizen shouts at an asylum seeker threatening their family, he is branded a hate criminal. Justice, it seems, has been fundamentally skewed. The police force has effectively been transformed into a public relations arm for the Home Office. while Starmer claims he is smashing gangs. A claim met with laughter from the balconies of luxury suites. The reality is stark. Britain is open for business, but only for those exploiting the system. Law-abiding citizens are paying the price, unable to recognise the country they built. The anger is not confined to the streets, it permeates living rooms nationwide. Households have realised a brutal truth. The state will tax them relentlessly, but it will not provide them protection. The Treasury will audit the citizens, but bankroll newcomers. Benefits can be cut, while premium accommodations are guaranteed for unvetted arrivals. Betrayal fractures a nation faster than recession, and today it comes not from economic forces, but from those who manage them. This is how a welfare state collapses, not through poverty, but through preferential policy. When public outrage exploded, councils across Britain awaited a single signal from Downing Street: restore winter fuel payments. That signal never came. Instead, senior ministers delivered a message analysts described as contempt masked as necessity. Prioritise asylum processing, permit budget overruns for accommodation, and disregard complaints about local community impact. Vulnerable asylum seekers became a coded phrase for fighting-age males, demanding room service, complaining about meals, and roaming towns that locals now fear to traverse. Downing Street's inaction was not due to lack of funds, it was due to fear. Fear of the optics of closing hotels outweighed concern for freezing pensioners. Civil service leaks confirm the same directive. The government prioritises securing a future voting bloc over controlling present streets. The anarchy on display did not arise overnight. Whitehall sat on reams of data about inheritance tax pressures, the insolvency of family farms, and the logistical nightmare of delivering 1.5 million homes, yet no preventative action was taken. Leaked estimates from the Border Force warned of 1.6 million new arrivals, while intelligence reports highlighted the danger of rapid demographic changes in rural areas sparking civil unrest. Each file was marked politically sensitive and quietly buried. Starmer didn't merely overlook these risks, he made a conscious decision to move forward regardless. Insiders report that calls to pause land seizures were rejected outright, as doing so would derail his ambitious 10-year plan. Meanwhile, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens are increasingly afraid to leave their homes. Businesses sit shuttered, and local police have effectively ceded control to the mobs. When a state prioritises the housing of undocumented arrivals over the safety of its taxpayers, it has lost its moral compass. Under this premiership, the countryside is being systematically sold off, borders remain wide open, police are constrained by political correctness, and the social contract lies in tatters even as the smoke begins to clear over riot-stricken streets. Senior ministers appear more focused on managing public perception than enforcing the law. This is how a nation sacrifices its identity, not through a single catastrophic defeat, but through 1,000 quiet bureaucratic betrayals. The Treasury can disguise the costs, the press office can deny the replacement strategy, but the public sees the truth. Critics warn that Britain is now led by an administration fearful of the very populations it is importing. Had these property-destroying individuals been British farmers protesting inheritance taxes, or truckers striking over fuel prices, the police response would have been immediate, overwhelming and uncompromising. Instead, the asylum system is being weaponised in plain sight. Police raids on hotel rooms are quietly uncovering stockpiles of zombie knives and machetes, items banned under British law, yet easily accessible to guests without background checks. Officers confiscate the weapons, but the occupants remain in their luxury suites, often receiving nothing more than a verbal warning and a dinner voucher. This catch-and-release system has turned the justice system into a national joke. Meanwhile, the translator loophole across constabularies allows suspects involved in violent incidents to be routinely released without charge. Britain is at a crossroads. Citizens must stay informed, demand accountability, and ensure their voices are heard before these policies permanently redefine the country.